Oh yeah, I don't know about that. Hold on. All right, so we got to share so you can hear my sound. Blah blah
I will,
blah.
I will have to say this was the boringest episode I've ever seen in my whole fucking life.
Was it? I thought it was pretty good. Can you hear that? Did you hear that?
Yes, I heard that.
It was it was more suspense. They were building the suspense. Is what I thought. So
It was retarded. There's
yeah,
nothing. There's nothing there.
yeah, kind of. I thought the
Oh,
parts.
tell me the truth about the crystal. Blah 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 blah.
Yeah, I thought the parts about the security guy that was with his mom was kind of funny, but we'll get to that. That's right away at the beginning, so we'll get to that right away.
That was
Uh,
stupid.
I thought it was funny. I thought it was funny. Anyway, let's.
I thought it was stupid because I saw myself in Jesse.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we've all
So
seen ourselves in that position. I think at some point. That's why it was funny. All right, let me push the button. Welcome to the Rebel Alliance Briefing Room podcast. We are here to podcast about anything and everything Star Wars with you. Please visit our website where you can play current and past episodes. That's https://RABR KyleJohansson.us. That's RABR dot KAILEJOHANSEN .us. On the left-hand side is a navigation menu. You can use this to learn how to load the Rebel Alliance Briefing Room podcast on your Android or Apple phone and tablet. And we have direct links to our podcast on Apple and Google Podcasts. Please participate by connecting to our social media, answering questions of the week, or submitting feedback directly from the site. Again, all of these are available on the Rebel Alliance Briefing Room website at RABR.KAILEJOHANSEN.us. And now, it's time to talk Star Wars. I am Kyle John Johansson, and this is Andrew Scott Sutton. Say hello. Hello. He doesn't have energy to
howdy.
dance, I guess.
Hello.
He's in too
Howdy.
much of a hurry. Hello.
I haven't been to bed yet.
Yeah. But we're in a hurry today because I had troubles and Scott's got stuff to do. All right, so today we're talking about Star Wars Andor Episode 5. The Axe Forgets is the title. Which is, I thought that was a weird title, and like you said to me a little bit ago, that whole scene in that area was just kind of, I don't know, stupid or weird. I don't know what it was, but it was kind of weird. But I thought it was
I
pretty good.
appreciate having to watch being scolded.
Yeah, we all see that with that first scene where Cyril is with his mom, and I thought it was, the previous episode. He's sitting there eating the cereal, right? Apparently,
Yeah.
he eats these choco ball cereal with green spirals on it or whatever. I don't know what those things are, but apparently he eats those every morning, and I just thought it was
He's
very
such an
interesting.
adult.
Yeah, it's just very interesting because his mom basically treats him like a little kid still, right? Like,
Yeah.
our parents did when we were growing up. They never treated us like adults or anything. But anyway, so that's where it first starts out in the episode. Is he's talking with his mother, and she's talking about and her name, just so you know, is Edie Karn. His name is Cyril Karn. Edie Karn, and she is talking about Uncle Harlow, who is supposedly going to find Cyril a job. And she tried to explain the incident herself as much as possible, but she basically admits that she doesn't understand what the hell happened and why her son failed her so much. Basically is what we assume, because she doesn't really come out and say it, but she's pretty much berating him the whole time, right, Scott?
Yep.
Yep. So, uh, now we go back to the planet there where our rebels are, and somewhere in Aldahani, Cassian awakes in his hut to find his weapons are missing. He kind of freaks out. He's like, "What the hell? Who stole my stuff?" He's kind of freaking out, and he finds out that that big guy, his name's Arvel Skeen, has taken his weapons and searched them per request of Vel, the female that's in charge. Vel Sartha, her name. And Skeen tells Clem that he thinks he fled in a hurry and that he stole someone's weapon, and whose weapon is this that he stole, and what's going on, and all that, and Andor basically says he didn't get the name of the guy who he stole the weapon from him, implying that he probably killed the guy and stole the weapon, which we know in reality, Luthen gave it to him, right, on the ship.
Yep.
And then Skeen talks about his tattoos. He's got a tattoo for called Crate Head and By the Hand, which are two big gangs that we know about in the Star Wars universe. And Andor knows who they are because he's probably, had dealings with them and stuff. I have a feeling that Andor probably lived a life on the streets pretty much as a kid, since his he was captured from his planet as a young boy, I guess, right? Anyway, Clem, Andor says that he went to the Sippo Youth Center at age 13, where he spent 3 years, which is supposed to relate to something that this skiing guy is talking about. And that's where we get the title name of our episode, because Skeen says the axe forgets, but the tree remembers. Which I'm like, what? I think it's supposed to mean that, basically the tree doesn't forget who chops it. But I think it also means that Skeen doesn't really believe him. Maybe, I don't know. What do you think, Scott?
I don't. It just. I agree. I agree with you that whoever's harmed remembers who harmed it.
Yeah. And maybe that's referring to the Sippo Youth Center. I don't know. And then we hear Skeen kind of talking about some of the other members, like Karis Nimic is very inexperienced, which is that young kid, but he's a true believer. And then Cinta Kaz, which is the other female, is stone cold and fearless. And he says Lieutenant Gorn is the key to the plan, because Lieutenant Gorn is actually he's an Imperial that we see during the show here later. We see him ordering people around, and Andor asks if the lieutenant's leading him into a trap, which kind of relates to the question of the week that I came up with. And Skeen turns the question around and says, "Well, I kind of think that you're the one that's leading us into a trap. You're the trap, And then, of course, we go back to Coruscant, and we're in the Mon Mothma residence at breakfast with her husband, Perrin, and their daughter.
Grateful child.
Yeah, Lida. Lida is her name, is what it says here. And they made arrangements for the driver, Flores, to take Lida to morning classes. But Lida says that she won't be going to school today. And that a fight from her mother ensues and says, "Well, there's no way you're not going to school. You're going to stick to the plan or go to school. Got an agenda." And Mon Mothma walks out of the breakfast, and there's a little glance between Lida and the dad, kind of like, "Oh, her," the big old tyrant lady or whatever. She's always got to be in control, kind of thing. And then we lead back to the planet Aldenalani, and this is the scene where Karis and Andor are sitting down together, and Andor gets some milk, which is some weird milk. There's always weird milk on this show, Star Wars in general, but it says it's a dray milk for breakfast, which not dry but dray. So that's some sort of animal, I would guess, but I don't know what that is. And he shows Andor this navigational tool and talks about this tool that is pre-Empire, so that the Empire can't track it, or it's not.
You mean
created by the Empire?
You mean the Kodak camera?
Yeah, one of them's a camera. It's pretty much
the Polaroid camera.
It's a Polaroid camera is one of them. He uses to take pictures, and he's got a navigational unit and this Polaroid camera looking thing. It's kind of funny that he says this is
I had to pause it to say that's a Polaroid camera.
Yeah, he's like, this is super old. This is super old tech, but it works. He's what he said.
Yeah, and that's what caught me with super old tech. I'm like, yeah, the Polaroid camera, dude.
And we hear Skeen, the guy that was arguing with Andor about saying that Nemik is obsessed with ideas and philosophy, meaning he has a lot of ideas in his head of how things are supposed to be, but he doesn't know what's reality's like. And that Skeen and Klim walk away from him because they're not in a chatty mood, but Nemik goes on about reconciling technology with freedom. And then we see Tamarin, which is the girl that's in charge. Tamarin Barkana is her name. And they all gather in the hut together in a meeting where and Nemik asks Skeen if he trusts Klim. And Skeen replies that he doesn't trust him. And Val and Barcelona ask Andor about how much weight their escape ship can carry. And then that's when Andor realizes they don't know how they're going to get the ship out of the base. They have a plan to get in there and get it, but they don't know how to get it out. Because part of the weight, you have to calculate the weight for the ship to, be able to lift off and escape. And he describes a like a lever that you have to pull to release it, and on that lever is a readout that tells it what the weight is. So they'll be able to know from that, and they talk about the layout again of the base, and we go into the base where Lieutenant Gorn is, and he's chastising two of the men because they haven't cleaned up a hut that's outside of the facility. Little hut that's it's got junk on it and it's been painted, and they've been using it for target practice. He says, I need this cleaned up. Yeah, we need this thing cleaned up because we're getting a very important person here, and we need to clean it all up. And tells Clem the cover story. Okay. And we see a scene where Clem is also, Andor is teaching the crew how to walk like soldiers, and they're just walking right now, and he hasn't really. There's a scene later on where he kind of describes what they were doing wrong, but right here they're walking, and then we go back to Ferrix, and
Andor tells them what they're doing wrong.
He does, but he tells them later. He doesn't tell them in this scene. He does tell them later that they're, one guy's holding his
Space.
rifle wrong, the other guy's, not walking spaced right, and all this stuff. He tells him that a little bit later. But at this time we go back to Ferrix, and we see some Imperials cleaning up a mess on the street, and that's supposed to be the mess that happened in the last episode where they blew up the little ship or whatever, and the lieutenant supervisor Belvin watches, and he tells Captain Tigo to hurry up and clean up, and get the guests and the furniture out of the hotel and make that the new headquarters on Ferrix. And this is where, this is weird. And that's where Tigo asks if he can be named the prefect, which basically is the one in charge of the entire planet. Basically, he's the ISB boss or whatever you want to call it for that.
Nazis.
Yeah, and Bevlin says I don't care what you want to be called. You can wear a ball gown for all I care. Just get the headquarters up and running by tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
And this is where we go back to the planet again. And this is where Andor kind of tells them about what they're doing wrong with the marching. He basically says that they're marching a little bit wrong, but one of them is holding the blaster wrong because he's left-handed. And the plane.
Then they make then what's her name makes them just describe all the weapons that all of them have or something like that.
Yeah, who's right-handed, who's got what weapon, what's basically details that he should know with his eyes closed, right? What she thinks she should know, and he rattles them off just like that. Boom, boom, boom. I know exactly all of them. This guy's right-handed. This guy is left-handed.
I think she's just being a smartass myself.
Well, it could be that. I think she was also trying to prove that he knows what he's talking about.
Yeah, that's what
they don't trust him, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, he even says the one guy is right-handed, but he's holding the gun like he's shooting left-handed.
Yeah.
He knows down to that detail, which that's a hard thing to see, honestly. And they're reluctant to switch, and that's when, like you said, she says that has him describe everybody's weapon and whether they're right-handed or left-handed and all that. And they kind of like, oh, okay, this guy does know what he's talking about. And that's when they hear a TIE fighter in the background, way in the back. So they hide their weapons under, like, I don't know, blankets or something, it looks like, right?
Yeah.
And the TIE fighter swoops through the valley there really low along the water, and it's just, you can see the water kind of splashing up that's how low the TIE fighter is. And you can see the tension there. They're all pretty scared that the TIE fighter is that close, to their camp and stuff like that. Let's see.
TIE fighter was doing a Tom Cruise.
Yeah, it was doing a Tom Cruise. We see it do that. We follow the TIE fighter all the way to the base that they're going to attack, and it flies really low over the top of the dam too. Did you see that? The guy was standing there and really low. That's where we see Lieutenant Gorn again, and he speaks to a corporal named Kimizi, and he asks about the landscape that they're going to be redoing the base, and they're going to be tearing up a bunch of the landscape and stuff. And he's not really for that, but he's going to do whatever he needs to do. He doesn't like the idea that it's going to disrupt the locals, but business is business, is what he says. Kind of. He tells him to get back to making all his rounds and stop, sitting up there and looking at the landscape. Get back to work, basically, is what he says. And then we see our crew, and Cinta is checking Andor's arm. And Andor gets all upset because Skeen grabs Andor's pouch again. Um, and Skeen's like, "Well, it was in the way. I had to move it." And he says, "Don't touch my stuff." Or and don't touch me and don't touch my stuff. Uh, then we go back to Coruscant, and this is where we see the Deidre Miro again, the ISB supervisor, and she walks by Bevelin and several aides discussing an upcoming conference. Um, and they mention Ferrix and a couple other things going on. And she goes back to her office, and her assistant, which I think the name says it's Heretic, is the is searching ledgers, um, and checks the Hozon register, but does not report any missing objects. Um, the, she says the ledgers only show what people want to they want people to see, so they may not be accurate, right?
Yeah.
And they talk. Miro says, "Well, I should cut off for the night because we've been working pretty long hours." And basically, the assistant convinces her to stay and work on a few more files. Work right,
Yeah.
and she basically reassures uh, Miro that she's onto something because um, they've been able to take a random pattern and kind of um, decipher it. Right. They figured out that there's consoles on items stolen from Kessel. There's a targeting console on Fondor, proton warheads on Jakku, um, and a Starpath unit from the Steerguard Naval Yard, which is the one that has caused this whole uproar with her. So they stay to kind of track it down and get the proof they need. Um, um, and this is, to me, this is interesting, Scott, because I think, you know, why would we even care about this Skiril Karn guy that's eating breakfast with his mother, right? Because to me, that story's already over. But they keep showing him, and they keep showing her, this lieutenant in the ISB. And I have a theory that I think that they're going to get together, and she's going to go talk to him because he was part of the Ferrix, right? And they're going to get together, and he's out for revenge for Andor for ruining his career, right? And she is looking to take down a group of people who are stealing stuff. And I think we're going to find out that Andor is the one named in every one of those items that were stolen. So I think, in my mind, they're going to get together and try to track him down. And it's probably so. I think the next episode, we're going to blow up the base, blah blah blah, do whatever, and then the last three is going to be her and Cyril and Andor. He's running from them basically. I think that's going to happen, but I don't know that for sure. I'm just kind of making it up, but I think that's what we're leading to. The next scene, they burn up their model that they had there at the camp of the base, which is kind of poetic, right? Because that's what the base is supposed to probably going to look like when they're done. It's going to be on fire like that and stuff. And they give a toast to the rebellion and pack up and head off on their walk to the base for the attack in the morning, basically. So they're leaving in the afternoon, getting there at night, and they're going to attack in the morning. And Andor's still weary of relying on the Imperial Lieutenant Gorn. And Gorn, she explains Gorn's why Gorn is on their side, and she talks about how he fell in love with a local woman and lost his promotion because of it, and that basically caused him to lose his taste for the Empire. what she says. Um, which I mean, that's good, but I don't know if that's enough for something like this. I don't. It's
Mhm.
kind of fishy to me still. Um, then we go back to Coruscant with Eddie Searle, and they're talking about Uncle Harlow again. And she says that Harlow thought that police work did not fit him anyway. Um,
Yeah.
and Searle asks, "What the hell does Harlow want? What kind of field does Harlow want me to pursue?" Um, and she says, "Well, he's going to find the best thing he can for you." Um, and they're counting on Searle's judgment, or not Harlow's judgment, um, for Searle's career plans. And I think that's kind of where Searle is like, "Hey, why am I relying on these people to find me a job? Let me just go do my own thing." They don't say that in there, but I think that's kind of what he's thinking in the
So
back.
did so I can't remember if it had been said that that he got that policing job himself, or did his uncle get him that job?
I don't think it's ever said. I think it might be implied, maybe. I don't know. I don't know. I think he got him from what he just said, where Harlow says that he doesn't think police the police job was a good fit for him.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe he went out and got it himself. I don't know. And Harlow didn't approve. I don't know. It's kind of weird. Um, then we switch back to the base again, where Lieutenant Gorn um, confronts two subordinates about painting the wall. He says, "Hey, there's an engineer coming today. We need everything to look nice and pretty and stuff." Um, and he wants it painted by the end of the day. And this is when the two guys mentioned that not very many people are going to be around on the base because they're all going to be watching the festivities. The star things that happen when the um,
Boom.
yeah. And so he thinks it'll be the corporal mentions that it'll be demoralizing for them to um, be made to work when there's something that they could be going out and doing that is fun and whatever. Um, and we see the moment where you were talking about right before we started, where the the gang is walking up towards the base at night, um, not quite dark yet, and Skeen comes up behind Clem and holds a knife to his neck and says, "Don't you move because you know what's going to happen."
Mm-hmm.
And he cuts off the necklace that Clem's wearing and says, "Look, he's got this kyber crystal that's a sky kyber crystal. Um, and it's worth $30,000. Why is he here if he's got this crystal? He could be wherever he wants to be. Um, and what's he hiding and all this blah 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 stuff." And and they talk about it, and Clem's like, "I'm here because I'm a mercenary. I'm here for the money. This is a down payment on my job, basically.
I'm getting paid
Uh,
to do it.
getting paid. I don't care about any of you guys. I'm getting paid. Damn it." Um, and that's when some of the crew question Val, and she tells him that she didn't really know that he was um, a mercenary either. She was just told that
She lying. She
yeah,
lying.
she knew. Um, and they're wondering why they didn't call up the mission, and she says, "If we wouldn't have taken Clem in, the mission would have been called off.
Yeah.
Um, he's the only reason the mission's still going on."
And then they said, "What's that supposed to mean?" Means you guys suck.
Yeah. And then they talk about him. They look at each other, and like, one of them's like, "Are you scared?" And the other one's like, "Of course I'm scared. This is pretty big deal that we're doing here. It's, there's a lot going on here, and there's a very good chance that we're going to die. And then we go back to Coruscant, and Senator Mothma and her husband Perrin are in a speeder following their meeting with Gar to Feed, which Perrin says to Feed knows more about what Mothma is up to than he does, and he questions her about some Foundation and stuff, and she basically says, "Well, I didn't tell you because I didn't think you would care about it," and he's like, "Well, why not?" He says, "Because it's charitable," and he's like,
yeah.
"Yeah, I wouldn't care about that. A charitable foundation." He's more about the money, I guess. And he asks,
"What's going to make me money?"
Exactly, what's going to make me money? And he asks the driver, which he has to ask her what the name of the driver is because he doesn't know. The expressway instead. And then we see a brief scene where Searle's like in his room, Searle Gorn, and he pulls out the hologram device that has Andor's head on it.
Yeah.
He looks at it for a while and he's studying it. That's the scene right there that made me think that he's going to try to get revenge and go after Andor on his own.
Yeah.
Because why would he be still looking at that thing? I mean, he's obviously still pissed off about it, right?
Maybe he's become a bounty hunter if he gets Searle.
Yeah, maybe.
It's like that.
I don't know. All right, and then our crew is back on the planet, and they're walking. They're higher up in the hill, walking down towards the base, the dam and everything, and they say they need to get a fire going so they can signal Lieutenant Gorn, and one of them has like a torch stick, and he's waving it, and Lieutenant Gorn's up there at the top of the dam and notices it and walks away. I thought that was kind of weird that Lieutenant Gorn didn't signal back to him. They just signaled him, and they didn't. He didn't signal back.
And she goes, "That's enough," and he kept waving it.
Yeah, that's funny too. He just kept going and going. I'm like, put down, you're gonna get caught.
Yeah, I'm gonna see you.
Exactly. And that's where we get the scene where Skeen tells Clem about his brother that lived on land, and the prefect flooded his brother's land, and his brother was in so much despair over it that he put rocks in his coat and jumped in the water and drowned. And that's what's motivated Skeen's hatred for the Empire. That's what his brother was doing. And then Andor asked him what he was growing, and he says pepper trees, which I thought was weird too, because most peppers I've ever seen grow from plants, not trees. But
and this is Star Wars.
Star Wars, it can be anything, right?
Yeah.
And he says, well, that story is pretty much as close as you're going to get for an apology. And Andor says he accepts the apology. And then Val tells Andor that Timorin is now in charge of the mission, and he wants Andor to tell him that he accepts his leadership. He won't let Val leave until Andor says that he accepts, and Andor does, and they get to work, and the two ladies go off somewhere. And the final scene, I don't know. I think they're going to be the distraction would be my guess. I don't know. It's really kind of weird that nobody knows what they're doing, but
yeah.
Then we get
what's her name?
Who? Val?
What's her name? the Indian type gal.
Cinta.
She had them. Yeah, she had them leather pants on when she was leaving.
Yeah, you liked her, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Got yourself a little hottie there, do you?
Yeah, tech support.
Stop it. The
Oh, I forgot about our biggest audience. He's so sorry. Namaste.
yeah. So the final scene here, we're at the antique shop, right? And
Yes, sir.
Luthen has out a like a transmitter. He's trying to receive any news to see if the the plan went through or whatever. And his assistant Killa tells him that he's been waiting for over an hour and he needs to switch it off. Because he's probably never going to hear anything right away. Knowing the
Well, he didn't ask the right way. He didn't go breaker 19.
no, I think he's just listening like it's a radio signal. He's looking for news basically. It says it's a transmitter receiver is what it says in these notes, but and he tells the assistant that he is worried because um you know he made a couple of mistakes when trying to recruit Andor.
Mm-hmm.
He took risks he shouldn't have taken. Um and you know they talk about it for a moment, and then they mention the assistant mentions that they have clients tomorrow morning, and they need to probably close up the shop for the night.
Yeah.
So they close up and everything, but um, we'll find out in the morning what happened, right?
Yeah.
I'm gonna push something here.
Are you planning your next trip to Tatooine? Well, come on down to Pelly's Mod and Repair Shop, where our droids will spruce up your wagon. We'll service just about anything from Starfighter Corellian Y1300 freighter to a Vespa hovering scooter. If we don't have the part, we can get it. If you qualify for our special program, we'll provide you with any part our Jawas can get. Well, that's right. Come on down to Pelly's Mod and Repair Shop, where we can store fuel and upgrade your vessel. We're located at Tatooine's Mos Eisley Spaceport, Hangar 35.
35. So come on down and get your stuff repaired. I'm going to share my screen here because we're going to talk about feedback in a moment. Yep. Can you see my screen?
Mm-hmm.
I need to make sure that I'm sharing it correctly because I want you to hear sound too. Share sound. There we go. That would have been okay. All right, so we're gonna do this.
Feedback at KyleJohansson.us. That's feedback, KyleJohansson.us.
Feedback.
Feedback.
Yeah, so we want your feedback on this episode, any episode before. Talk about how Scott's sticking his finger up his nose or whatever. We want your feedback, right? So I'm sharing my screen here for you guys to see because I'm going to talk about our website and how you can submit feedback to us. So this is our current website view. And over here on the left-hand side, like we always talk about, are links to questions of the week, social media, feedback. Down here is how to find us an audio podcast. And then we have a fancy link here for Star Wars timeline that you can follow. Over here in the middle, it says RBR seasons. That is basically a listing of our podcast based on what we're watching and what we watched. As you can see, Boba Fett, Bad Batch, some of the movies, Obi-Wan Kenobi, and now Andor are all in there. But if you click on feedback, you're going to get this page right here. And it has a little description here. There's an email address. You can always send us email to that address. And it'll come right in and we'll read it on the podcast.
But down here, we ask you what you want to be called by. Kind of make it funny by saying, what's your Jedi or Sith name, and then you put whatever your feedback is down here, and this will let you put in as much as you want, and you submit it here. And we don't collect any data from you when you do that, and it'll send us basically everything you got through a Google Forms format, and we will read that on the podcast. If you go to our questions of the week, that's over here, also on the left, which I didn't do that right. What happened? Back. You go to our question of the week over here. You get this page here, and it should come up similar to this. This is our latest question that's not related to this episode, but the previous episode. And you come in and make your choice. Will Deidre get the access to the Ferrix files? Make your answer. And down here below, there's comments. You can type in a comment here, and we'll view these things and look at them. And if there are comments about particular questions of the week, we will talk about them on the podcast, right, Scott? And then the final Roger Dodger. The final way is on our YouTube page, where we have the video of these podcasts. And while you're watching, you can scroll down, and there's a comment section down here, and it even has emojis available for you to put as well.
Wow.
So you could put a little turd pile emoji.
You got a turd pile? Oh my god! Yeah.
And a kiss emoji, and type in whatever else you want to say and send it to us, and we will share it on the podcast, won't we, Scott? Yeah. So those are the basically the 3 or so four ways to send us feedback.
You got girlfriend in Vietnam?
No.
Me so horny. Me love you long time.
Long time. All right. So that was that, and the question of the week, Scott. So I picked the question of the week to be crap. What did I put? I sent it to you too. Is Lieutenant Gorn setting a trap for our rebels? That's what I put as the question of the week. So that lieutenant in the base, is he setting up a trap?
I don't think so. I think he wants out.
Yeah, you think he wants out. So you think that this mission is going to be successable? Basically, there'll probably be a couple people. There'll probably be a couple people to die, right? But they're gonna steal the payroll, or at least maybe let's say burn it up or something by mistake. But they're gonna get the payroll away from the Empire and cause all kinds of havoc, right?
They're gonna fly over a big city, and they're gonna open up the bay doors and just drop it, and it's gonna be a free for all.
It'd be funny if they did that. I think they should do that. I think they should. That's good. So, anything else you wanted to bring up about the episode, Scott?
No, that's pretty cool. I wish they would have just gone ahead and had some action.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, okay, this is boring.
Yeah, I kind of agree. Well, see, I read more about
from the first scene. From the first scene, it was like, oh, more berating by mommy to son. Yeah, all right. I lived this. I don't need that.
Yeah, I didn't want to see that either. I read more about this because there's a lot of people online that think, because of the way they structured the whole show, meaning they're 3 episodes that are basically the same subject, and then there's 3 more, and then there's 3 more. They think that they should have released all 3 at the same time. So 1 through 3, they did that. They think that 4, 5, and 6 should have all been released, and maybe not even chopped up. Maybe it's just one long episode.
I saw that. On a guy that I consult on Star Wars stuff.
Yeah.
Just like you.
You have a consultant, huh? Just kidding.
Oh, bald one. Oh,
I found it on Twitter. I saw that too, and I was like, what's going on? And I almost agree. I think that they shouldn't have even broken them up into individual episodes. It should be um, 1 through 3 should all be one episode, and no, basically an hour and a half movie or
yeah.
something like that, or
Like,
instead of
like two special events before the big dramatic blowing shit up.
yeah. So the next episode, we think that they're gonna possibly attack the base, right?
And I hope
And then,
so.
yeah, let's hope it's not another one where they're just preparing. That'd be awful. Um,
Or more breakfast talk with.
yeah, with mom could
Yeah.
be.
God.
So that's episode 6, and then we've got there's 12 episodes. So then we've got 8, 9, and 10, which it should go together, right? And I think all of those build up to 11 and 12, which is the season finale. 11 and 12 are a two-parter, basically, episode. So we hope that that's the way it ends, right?
I hope there's a big blow up.
Yeah. I think
what else could they do with that cat? What else could they do with that payload of cash though? That thing will be slow as hell.
it could be.
They're going. He should take a TIE fighter. He should steal a TIE fighter. He should steal a TIE fighter and have somebody else drive the barge. That would be great.
Yeah, but the TIE fighters don't have very much.
Andor and a TIE fighter. Woo!
Yeah, well, TIE fighters don't have very much space in them.
I didn't say for the space. I said for the protection.
Oh, well, maybe they do. Maybe they do. Maybe that we see that. I don't know.
Maybe they do. Condom or something.
Dun dun dun. Yeah.
The reservoir tip.
Yeah.
Or escape pod.
Huh?
So you saw what they were loading that with. Those they're like weren't they like keg containers or something?
Yeah, something like that. Little 10 or what is it? 100-gallon drums or something like that.
Yeah. But
I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. I don't. It's going to be interesting, and I think this is it. We saw the
who's the VIP that's going to show up?
Yeah, I saw something about that, and I don't know if it's true. But it's a so it's an engineer. We know it's an engineer. And we know that this planet is close to the same system that the Death Star is being built in.
Mm-hmm.
It's not quite the same system, but it's close. So I think that this base is developing parts for the Death Star. Not all the parts, but maybe they specialize in a few parts, right? Yeah. So they're building, like, let's say they're building the tile floor on that people walk on. So that's all they do. So I think this engineer is an engineer for the Death Star, that's maybe in charge or close to higher up in the Death Star. It's going to come and inspect the products that they're producing. So who knows? I saw the guy's name, but I don't remember it anymore. And it's some guy that you should remember from, I think it's Revenge of the Sith or one of those movies where we see a couple of those engineers and stuff like that that are related to it. When Darth Vader's talking about how the Death Star is behind or whatever, and the Emperor's going to come and visit. It's one of those guys that Darth Vader's talking to right there. That's supposedly the engineer. It's supposed to come. All right. So you want me to end it? Are we done?
Yeah.
Well, it's a short episode then. Let's push this button here.
Thank you for listening to the Rebel Alliance Briefing Room podcast.
Please visit our website where you can play current and past episodes. That's https://RABR KyleJohansson.us. That's RABR.KyleJohansson.us. On the left-hand side is a navigation menu. You can use this to learn how to load the Rebel Alliance Briefing Room podcast on your Android or Apple phone and tablet. And we have direct links to our podcast on Apple and Google Podcasts. Please participate by connecting to our social media, answering questions of the week, or submitting feedback directly from the site. Again, all of these are available at the Rebel Alliance Briefing Room website at RABR.KyleJohansson.us. This podcast in no way is approved, sponsored, or owned by Lucasfilms Ltd., Disney, Disney Plus, or any of its subsidiaries. All opinions are solely owned by Kyle and or Scott, and in no way express the views or opinions of their past or present employers. Views and opinions are not supported or restricted by Lucasfilms Ltd., Disney, Disney Plus, or any of its subsidiaries. Any rebroadcast, reproduction, or any or other use of this podcast and its affiliate sites without consent of Super Duper Podcast Network and its host is prohibited. I am Kyle Johansson, and this is Andrew Scott Sutton. Say goodbye now. Bye. We're out of here. See ya.